I gotta be honest, I was not going to record this episode. I didn't think people really wanted to hear about my pregnancy and my plans and just future motherhood things, as far even current motherhood stuff. And I had this fear that I was going to push you away if I talked about this. But then I put out there hey y'all, what questions do you have for me? I'm an open book. I want to do an episode on this if you guys are open to it. And I got flooded with questions, and it just kind of affirmed that you don't know until you know. Don't make assumptions for people. And if you show up fully as yourself, it's going to resonate with someone. It's okay if not everyone in my audience is in this same chapter as me. And whether you're listening to this where you're currently a mom, or you're wanting to become a mom one day, or none of the above, and you just want to kind of hear my current pregnancy journey, there's no wrong answer. But I do feel like I had been holding myself back and not wanting to share this because I thought no one's going to want to listen to me. And y'all's questions have showed otherwise. So this episode, I'm going to be getting into a lot of the nitty gritty about my pregnancy. We're going to be talking about my birth plan, birth prep, the crazy, weird, woo-woo things that I've been doing to prep for birth and labor, different things about motherhood that I've been experiencing. It's going to be unfiltered, a lot of information. And if there's anything that I talk about that you're like, oh my gosh, I need to hear more about that, I will be going more in depth with a TikTok series where I'm talking about preparing for motherhood and things that I'm doing. And it's going to be starting in December. And hopefully when I get to 10K, I can create a little playlist so that if you're listening to this after December, you can go back and watch all those videos. But I'm really looking forward to sharing everything. And of course, the unfiltered journey of my pregnancy. So life update before we get into the questions, but I am full term now. I've hit 37 weeks and it has been a wild ride. I feel like the baby has dropped, which if you guys don't know, I didn't know this either. When the baby drops, you might feel like you got your lungs back a little bit. You're able to breathe a little bit more. So hopefully that means my amazing, amazing editor and bestie, Alex, will not have to do too much editing on me stopping and gasping for air, because she has been an angel these past few months with all the episodes I've been recording, because I have had to literally just stop and catch my breath. And once I hit start, the fun don't stop. I keep going. But let's get into this, and I'm excited to share it all with you. So here we go. First question, one of the questions was, how have you been preparing both mentally and physically for labor? Are there any practices or exercises that you found to be most helpful? So with those questions, mentally and physically, I had already been doing a lot of mindset work, right? Last year, I did the Hot Girl Healing series, and the beautiful God universe timing was a year before I was in this phase of pregnancy. And so definitely, whether you're pregnant or not, I highly recommend doing self-development, taking care of yourself, healing your mind, body, and soul. More for yourself than anything, but then it goes beyond that. If you do decide you want to have kids, how amazing that you have been able to heal yourself and been able to hopefully break up any kind of generational patterns that we've seen in our previous relationships with parents. Things I'm doing mentally to prepare for birth. Hypnobirthing. I did a whole episode on what hypnobirthing is, but I did hypnotherapy. And so now I'm using hypnobirthing meditation, and I am listening to it 2 to 3 times a week. I try to do it at night mostly when I'm calm. I'll do it right after I take a bath, or I'll do it in the middle of the day. Basically trying to get my body as comfortable as possible. And I'm going to be using the exact same hypnobirthing meditation track during labor. And so think of it like you're creating a pattern where you want to replicate that same calm, safe feeling in your body, even when you're going through labor in the hospital. Another practice that's been physically and mentally helpful has been daily grounding. We recently moved and we now have a backyard. And not only does my dog Kima love it, but I love it because I'm able to do daily grounding practices and get my feet on the earth and get sun when possible. And all of those things help me feel just less anxious and more grounded within myself. So many things are changing very quickly, and that can quickly, develop into anxiety and overwhelm. And so I find that doing a daily grounding practice really helps. Continuing with mindset, breath work for labor prep. And I've done breath work in the past when it comes to look up breath work and different breathing practices to help with stress management and getting in touch with your body. But there are specific breath work practices you can look into for labor prep. Look into those. YouTube has great resources on that. But doing that is just to help me with my breathing. And not everything you see on TV when you watch natural births is the right way to necessarily push out your baby. And learning breath work for labor prep is going to be really helpful for that. Stay tuned. I'll let you know on the other side how it goes. But that's something I've been doing. Another thing that's a little bit weird, you might think is a little weird, is using ice in order to prepare for labor. Basically helping challenge your mindset around tolerance to pain. This sounds insane, but it's not. So taking ice cubes and holding them in your hand and letting them melt, it's actually a practice you can do to help lower anxiety as well, because you're focused on the ice melting. So if you're not pregnant, you can use this as well, but you can practice by trying to hold on and let the ice melt as long as possible. And so let's say you build up the tolerance to 1 minute, and the next time you do it, it's 2 minutes, and then 3 and 5, and just beyond that. That can really help you when you're going through those contractions. And it sounds crazy, but it works. I'll let you know if it worked personally for me. But from what I've read and watched and talked to people about, why not try it? I'm already into the whole ice bath situation. Why not do it for labor too? Another question I had was about books, actually. So as far as prepping my mind, I haven't done a ton of books, but the first time I shared my pregnancy, if you haven't listened to the episode about sharing my pregnancy announcement, I got a book in the mail. I didn't know who it was from, and it was What to Expect When You're Expecting. And I literally made so much fun of it. And it ended up my mom was the one that bought it for me. So shout out to Lisa. It was so cute. But I ended up reading it, and it was actually helpful. And it did give me some ideas of like what's going on in my body at different weeks, which I thought was helpful. Another book that I got was, for Tom, it's called We're Pregnant, the First Time Dad's Pregnancy Handbook. And it's been really cute watching him read that. I'm not going to lie. Every time I watch him open up the book when we're in bed, because we're both reading our books together, but separately. And I don't know, it just gets me really excited. And then Audible that I'm listening to is Hypnobirthing, the Mongan Method. So if you are interested in learning more about hypnobirthing and that process, that book was recommended to me by my hypnotherapist, Melanie, and it has been amazing. I actually just finished it. Another book is actually recommended by Kay Hillman. You all know my bestie Kay. The book is called The Book You Wish Your Parents Read. And so I'm looking forward to starting that. I think I want to read it with Tom. That's one that I've heard really good things about from multiple people, but Kay, seal of approval means that I'm listening. I'm going to be listening/reading it. Pregnancy affirmations. I recorded an episode about different pregnancy affirmations. Those really helped me. I actually listened to my own affirmations that I recorded with my voice. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's not narcissistic. It's actually just more impactful if you can record your affirmations with your voice. Whether you're pregnant or not, I highly recommend it. You can use like voice notes on your phone, but highly recommend that. Asking questions has been really helpful for me mentally. Good advice that I got was to ask moms that you trust or look up to. So, not every mom is going to have the same mindset around everything. And at the end of the day, like you go with your gut on things. But if there's someone that you look up to or that parents in a way that you could see yourself parenting, asking them questions can be really helpful. And then also be okay setting up boundaries with answers. So if someone is giving you answers and then they start to quickly go into trying to share their super traumatic birth story, feel free to be like, hey, I appreciate you wanting to share, but right now I'm not trying to take on anyone else's birth story while I'm creating my own. If you don't mind, like, let's talk about that maybe after I give birth. I've had to do that a couple of times, and it's totally understandable. Like, birth is a crazy thing, and I do think it should be talked about, but personally, I'm not trying to take on any traumatic birth stories or reading anything about negative things about birth. I'm really watching births online and trying to just learn and take everything in that I can and take out the fear behind giving birth, which I feel like I've done pretty well so far. Speaking of taking the stress out, keeping a low stress environment has been really helpful. LOL though, it is easier said than done. Like in the past 60 days, we have moved out of our apartment, moved into a house. Tom is like, his job has been revving up like crazy. We were so grateful to have been given a baby shower, which was so awesome, but we had guests come and stay. We've had a lot of different crazy weekends filled with stuff. The holidays have come up, and then of course, prepping for a baby. So it has been a high stress couple of months. And so trying to create pockets of calm and peace anywhere and everywhere that you can. That has been the goal when it comes to mental birth prep. All right, physical stuff that we've done that I've been doing, and I will continue to share again on TikTok about this, but prenatal Pilates and yoga, man, I was working out regularly through my second trimester and literally doing all the things. I was nauseous in first trimester, but physically I felt fine. Second trimester, I felt fine. Energy was great and my body felt good. And so I was pretty much able to work out like normal, just made some adjustments for core work. But man, I hit third trimester and I slowed down. And at first I was feeling guilty and I was putting myself down for it. And then I was like, wait a second, you've never been through this before. Let's instead honor your body for where you're at, recognize that this is a different phase. I talked to you all about being able to cycle sync your workouts. We talk about like how our bodies hormonally change a lot just within our 28-day cycle as a woman. And it's even crazier hormonally with pregnancies. So instead of being hard on myself, I just have been adjusting. Since making the adjustments to not working out as heavy, not being as crazy in the third trimester, I have felt amazing, a lot better. Doing prenatal Pilates and yoga in order to prepare my body as well as prepare my mind for birth. And then just like the day-to-day back pain and all of that, it's so much better when I'm doing yoga on a regular basis. I also have pumped up a yoga ball, which I'll share that video. It's pretty funny. I pumped up a yoga ball to do exercises. I'm doing daily nature walks with Kima. Getting outside has really helped me mentally and physically, just going on lots of walks and not putting so much pressure on like having to quote unquote work out. Instead, just thinking mentally what's going to feel the best for me and physically what's going to feel the best for me. And a walk is almost always going to be the answer. Vitamins and supplements. I'm taking my prenatal multivitamin. I'm taking fish oil. I'm taking my Biome probiotics. If you don't know, now you know, like a lot of women get really bad constipation when they're pregnant because all your organs are being pushed up away from you so that you can make room for a baby. And I haven't had that issue, thank God. I think I've only had it like once or twice the entire pregnancy. And I really got to give it up to the probiotics, especially when I was not able to eat a ton of vegetables in the first trimester. I still got my greens plus probiotics from Biome. So use J.Go Fit if you ever do go and get some. Use J.Go Fit on the code for a little discount. I think it's 10 to 20% off. Melatonin has helped me sleep. Vital proteins is something that I've already talked about, but that protein powder is a clean one that I really enjoy, and you want to make sure you're getting enough protein when you're pregnant. All of these are things that I'm doing. Obviously, talk to your doctor about what you're taking. That's super important before you start anything new. Speaking of new, my recent additions. Okay, these ones are weird. Hear me out. Don't bash it till you try it or till you're pregnant. You just don't know, okay? So I am preparing my body for birth. What am I doing? Well, I've recently added evening primrose oil. It's a little capsule, a little supplement. I started doing it at 35 weeks, just one by mouth. I'm going to be going up to 3 by mouth. And then at 37 weeks, so recently, I've started to insert one of them vaginally into my cervix. Don't freak out, but it really helps prepare your cervix for labor. If you were to like create a little circle with your hands, like a really small circle, your cervix starts out really small, but it gets all the way to 10 centimeters dilated, right? So that's a lot of change. And so you want there to be a pliability to your cervix. We literally, in my birthing class with my doula, we had to use Play-Doh in order to create like that dilation and show how much your cervix changes. And seeing that change, I was like, okay, whatever I can do to help protect me and hopefully limit to alleviate any tearing, manifesting that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I don't care if it means that I have to stick evening primrose oil supplement up my vagina. Don't care. Just make sure you poke a hole with a sterilized needle when you put it up and then wear a pad when you're sleeping. But yeah, it hasn't been an issue so far. So good. I'll keep you updated on that for sure. There's also my belly oil nightly routine with my baby. Routine has been helpful for me every single trimester. I've been auditing my routine. I have my clients do this seasonally, so I'm doing it myself in different seasons of this pregnancy. So the audit for third trimester, I realized like I want to have a nightly routine for myself, but I also want it to be something I can bond with my baby. And so I think in second trimester, maybe earlier, I was doing belly oil and I started to pair a song with it. So I wanted to pair a song with it because once baby was able to hear, I was like, how cool would it be for them to associate a song with our nightly routine and this bonding that we started in the womb. Like, I know it sounds woo-woo, but I'm obsessed with it. So I have a belly oil nightly routine where every single night while I'm getting ready for bed, I start and do oil on my belly and I'm rubbing it in circles. And as my belly grows, it definitely has helped. I've had no issues with itchy skin or anything like that a lot of people might deal with. And I play the song Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, the Miss Lauryn Hill version, because I love me some Lauryn Hill. And that song has been playing to my baby almost every single night. And it's been I don't know, it's something that calms me down, and it's been cueing my nightly routine. And it's helping, hopefully, my baby as well. So I'll keep you updated when baby is earthside, how the routine goes with them as I continue it. Because I'm all about creating routine and habits and using cues to help you, instill that routine. So why not try it with our baby? Let's see what happens. I was talking about getting your cervix ready for labor and the perineum stretch to avoid tearing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, moms to be, you can prepare to push with a perineal massage. You can use your hands, but honestly, like when your belly's huge, that's really hard. So you can ask your partner to help you. But I'm honestly too impatient. Like I'd rather do it on my own time. So perineal massage wand by Frida Mom, that one has been great for me. It's like a little bit weird at first to try and do, but it's not bad at all. The wand by Frida comes with a mirror. So you literally have like a mirror facing your vagina. If you've never looked at your vagina through a mirror, now's the opportunity. Do it before you're pregnant too, because it all changes. So it's really interesting. But go ahead and try that. And it's really not that bad. Another thing I'm doing is eating 6 dates a day, starting at 36 weeks. I've already been eating dates before. Dates are really good for you, but through Lara bars and things like that. But dates are another thing that have been shown to help with having an easier labor. 3rd trimester, I have started drinking raspberry leaf tea. This is one thing that has been clinically proven. So there are actual tests about raspberry leaf tea helping with getting your body ready for labor and preventing the lesser percent chance of tearing, which is really what I'm really looking for. So 1 cup starting at the beginning of my 3rd trimester, and I'm working up to 3 to 5 cups. I'm up to 2 cups right now. And you can drink it beforehand as well, but I'm just being more religious with it. Like I'm being more consistent with it since the 3rd trimester. Yeah, I'll do a whole thing about that on my TikTok because I have a recipe that's really good cold with coconut water, cranberry, and pineapple juice. Whew, that is a lot of things. It is a full-time job. Literally preparing for birth and getting your body and your mind ready. I have been treating it like a full-time job because, well, one, I have the privilege of being able to do that. And so I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity in order to do that. Not everyone does have as much time and space mentally and physically to do everything. If I could just pick a couple things, if you're like, oh my gosh, that is so many things, I would say getting a daily walk-in is huge. Some sort of mindset work, whatever feels best for you. If it's not hypnobirthing, some sort of meditation and breath work that you can do just for 3 minutes a day, just to find your calm, I think can be really, really helpful and effective. And then use an Audible audiobook instead of reading. So people who are working in the office, that's what I would recommend for you. Next question. How are you managing stress and practicing self-care during this crucial time in your life? It depends on the day. It really depends on the day. I will tell you what really has been working for me. And then I'm going to also tell you that I have never experienced the level of highs and lows that I have here with pregnancy. It'll hit you so quickly when it comes to your emotions. Like I can be doing so great and then suddenly I'm like crying while watching a dog video on YouTube. Or I was talking to my friend Meg about how we've been watching like birth vlogs on YouTube and they're just so beautiful. I'll think about my kid growing up and graduating from high school and then start crying. And this baby is not even born yet. Like it's just things that I wouldn't normally cry about. And so, I don't know, it's hard to manage. I've talked about this since the very beginning. It's all unknown. There's so much that you don't know when you're going into a new chapter of your life. And I can't spend my time stressing about what I can't control. So I can't spend my time stressing about the what ifs, like what if this happens? What if this doesn't work out? Instead, I can just do what I can to control the day to day. And so what really helps me is to meet myself where I'm at. I've gotten better at kind of recognizing that making a baby is work in itself and you don't need to have a crazy productive day every single day. Meet yourself where you're at energetically every day. Give yourself grace with that. And then things that just help my soul when I'm managing stress are showing myself some form of TLC. A lot of what I've been doing has been in the name of the baby. So, getting our house together, getting things organized, checking things off the to-do list. A lot of that has been focused on the baby. And I am trying to give myself some TLC. Is it going to help the baby? Yes, that's the thing about motherhood. I talk to my mom clients about this a lot, is when you're taking care of yourself, you're ultimately making a positive impact on your kids. And I'm reminding myself that too. So if I'm going to do something that makes me feel good, like getting my hair cut or getting a massage, or we just did a mini baby moon at a spa, could that money have been used for the baby? Yeah, it could, but it's also good for us to prioritize our relationship, and my self-care and all those things are really important. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise or make you feel guilty when you are taking care of yourself, because it ultimately is going to make things better for everyone in your family, especially your baby. This time of year, I've been doing fun Christmas and holiday traditions, trying to do things that are just not super crazy, but simple, that just make me happy. So finding little pockets of joy with that. And it's getting me excited for the future about what it's going to be like with our baby when we do have them next year through the holidays, which is wild to think about. Doing a vision board for the future, I've been connecting with a lot of my business friends where it's been so helpful to be able to talk to them about things that aren't just about the baby. I am so excited about pregnancy. I'm so excited to have this baby. Can't wait for them to get here. And I also really enjoy talking about things outside of that have to do with my personal goals, my work, my business, my coaching, all of that. So creating a vision board for the future has been helpful for me to just really see what this could look like. I've been following people online who are successful in their business as entrepreneurs, also have kids that travel with their kids, just basically helping me not see having a kid as a limitation, but an expansion of myself. And I will continue to share more about that going on in the future. So stay tuned for that. I got some exciting things in the cooker. Coaching my clients has been so good for my soul. I just love the clients that I get to work with and support with their lives and their goals. It just feels good because I feel like, again, I'm having to pour so much into myself. It feels amazing to be able to still impact my clients in such a positive way when it comes to helping them reach their personal goals, get outside their comfort zone, feel confident in their work and their jobs and their careers, in their relationships and their families. And it lights me up. So that's a big one. And yeah, just the biggest thing that's helping me manage stress has been saying no to more things in order to conserve my energy. I've had to say no to some really hard things. We ended up staying home for Thanksgiving and not traveling, and old people pleasing me would have felt really guilty about it. And just kind of given in and been like, I guess it's the right thing to do. You never know, family, maybe we should just go because it's the right thing to do. And then ultimately it was just not best for our family because currently with this baby, I don't really feel like traveling. I don't feel great being in the car for a long time. And so being able to say no to that. Also having to say no to something that I felt really, I had to make the decision the day of and change my mind, and being okay with originally thinking yes to something and then being like, actually, it's not the best thing for me. I'm going to have to say no. And then my husband's grandfather passed away and we were able to go to a viewing, but then he had his funeral. And originally I was planning on going, and literally the morning of, I'm getting my stuff together. And as I'm talking to my husband, I'm like, he's already taking the pressure off because he's never ever pressuring me into doing things. But he's just like, you don't have to go if you're not feeling up for it. And I was like, no, I want to be there for you. Because he literally, y'all, he was a rock for me when I lost my Nana 2 years ago on Christmas Day. He was there for me through everything. And so I wanted to be able to be there for him. And man, I woke up that morning and I just did not feel like I could physically be there. I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't want to be there and complain. So I ended up not going. And even though it was hard for me to say no to that, ultimately it was the best decision. And it was a good thing. So being able to say no to more things in order to conserve my energy has been really, really helpful for me managing my stress and practicing self-care. Good question. Okay, next question is a nutrition question. Have you felt healthier or more unhealthy during your pregnancy with nutrition and food? So I'm assuming this is more of a nutrition food question. I do think that the term healthy and unhealthy is kind of subjective because some people associate healthy with, eating only fruits and vegetables and being super strict with our diet or with our exercise. And that's not how I see healthy. I really see it as where you're at on your journey and what it is for you. And that goes with what chapter you are in your life. For me, certain things might have been healthy during pre-pregnancy, but then while I'm in pregnancy, it is healthier for me to skip the workout. It is healthier for me to sleep in. It's healthier for me to, eat something versus not eating anything just because it's not a salad, right? It's so interesting. I've felt more in tune to my body than I ever have before, like able to listen to cues, while also more out of whack with my body just because things can change so quickly. So it's like, I'm so grateful that I went through the healing experience of healing my relationship with food and healing my relationship with my body, because so much shit changes once you're pregnant. Your body can be changing every single day. Your needs of your body can be changing every single day. And, even with cravings and stuff like that, like at one point I could be wanting and needing something that's super nutrient dense. And then I start making it and immediately feel like I'm going to vomit. Like the thought of it makes me sick and I can't eat it anymore. Does that mean that I need to force myself to eat that food? No. Listen to my body and maybe I need to have something else. And if it's ice cream or something like that at the end of the day, there's no need to feel guilty about it. And so I actually did a whole episode on body changes and relationship with food and nutrition with my friend Abby Stacey, who's a registered dietitian, on her Be About Being Better podcast. So I can actually link that podcast episode here for you guys to go listen to if you want to know more about that experience. And I can do a whole episode on that as well if that's something that you're interested in. But yeah, so I feel like that was a vague answer to the question of if I felt healthier or more unhealthy. The answer is both. I think I feel very healthy in my mindset with where I'm at with my body changing. And I don't think I would have felt this healthy if I had not taken the steps to heal my relationship with the food and with my body that I've done previously before getting pregnant. Okay, I did have a question about my hospital bag, like Labor Day checklist. I am going to make a separate post about that. So if you're interested in how I'm packing my hospital bag and what I'm doing for Labor Day checklist that my doula helped me with, you can definitely follow me for more on that. I also am making a little appreciation basket for the nursing staff because I'm going in hot with like a birth plan and a doula, and my husband works in medical. I don't want to come off as like too strong, but I also want to come off as like, I'm going to be advocating for myself and my husband will be advocating for me. And I don't want to come off as a huge, crazy bitch. Who knows what I'll be like come labor. So I'm coming prepared with snacks. I talked to my friend who is a registered nurse and she gave me a list of things that she's enjoyed getting in those types of appreciation baskets. So I already bought all the stuff. I'm taking a note out of my sister, Acacia. She is like super into gifting. I did a whole episode with her about gifting. Normally, I'm not one to prepare ahead. I'm not a big gift person in general, but I thought, why not? I'm already thinking of snacks for myself in the labor and delivery situation. Why not do that for our nursing staff? So yeah, that's something that we're doing that's a little bit outside of my norm. Speaking of being a crazy biatch with my birth plan, I got a question that said, can you share more on your birth plan? And what helped you decide this? So with my birth plan, I decided to work with a doula. And a doula, if you don't know what that is, I do a whole episode on it, why I decided to hire a doula, what they do to support you pre-labor, like pre-birth, like right now, as well as when you're in labor and starting in labor, and then postnatal, all the different ways that they're supporting you. And having a birth plan is when you go into wherever you're birthing, but for me, it's going to be the hospital. You have an idea of like, if and when something comes up, what is the best thing for you. You're able to talk through it. I do think that going in blind can be a little bit crazy hectic and people can kind of push you into things that maybe you don't want. I talked to a lot of moms who shared about their birth experience, especially with their first time giving birth. And the doctors would kind of tell them like, okay, you need to go ahead and douche you. But like we are in the moment, we're just like, I need to do whatever's best for my baby, but we don't ask why. And so I'm able to come with a birth plan so that my birth wishes. Now, obviously, we can't predict the future. We can't predict everything happening. So my birth plan includes different aspects of like if things do go down in a different way. And it's really just like my personal preferences and desires for the birth of our baby. And my doula helped me write it. And I'm really, really excited about it. But basically, if you guys want the birth plan, If you're just interested in seeing one, let me know and I can share it with you. That's definitely something I can do, but I'll do like a quick inform of it because it was a question about sharing more about it, why I did it. I did it because I want to go into the hospital feeling like I have a plan. I also know if I'm in a lot of pain or if I'm just not mentally able to focus, having a birth plan to refer to so that when and if things do come up, my husband knows the response of what my wishes are. My doula knows what my wishes are, and they can advocate for me if and when I can't advocate for myself. So getting that kind of support is huge for me. So yes, I'm printing multiple copies of my birth plan, putting it in the basket with the nursing gifts, the little nurse appreciation basket, and hoping for the best, right? So I talk about who my doula is in there. She helped me break it up into environment, labor, and then baby, things about the baby, as well as in the case of a C-section. So I'm going to roll through this real quick. I might not cover everything. Again, if it's something that you guys want more with, I can share it in a separate video on like a TikTok or something for you to save. So for the environment, we want the birth room to be quiet, calm, and peaceful. No excessive conversations and staff visits. Don't want any medical students. Use of essential oils, music, and soft lighting. I'm so excited. We were smelling essential oils the last time she met to see like what my preferences are, but she's bringing a diffuser. She's bringing little twinkly lights. She's helping me create my birth playlist, which I'm going to have 2 different options on that because I'm not sure if I'm going to want to listen to crazy upbeat stuff or I want to do more of like the meditation style music. So I want to have both so I can pivot. But yeah, having an environment that is not as hospital feeling. I don't want it to feel like the fluorescent lights that are just kind of stressing me out because being calm during birth is super important. So that is in my birth plan. The labor itself, okay, it's a long list. Hang in there. No induction unless medically necessary. So sometimes they try and push you to induce for different reasons. I am being, I'm due around the holidays and I don't want someone to try and push me to an induction just because it's Christmas Day or something. Doula and my husband to be present at all times. That one's super crucial for me. I want to make sure they're with me. Explain all procedures before beginning them and get my consent before doing them, so don't jumping into anything. For me, Pitocin only if medically necessary during labor and to begin slow and low, so not jumping up too quickly, and no Pitocin immediately postpartum. Limited vaginal checks to be performed by my provider. The reason I put that on there is because a lot of times they will, like every single nurse, every single person that's coming in the room is constantly checking, doing a vaginal check to check where you're at, and it's not medically necessary. And I don't want to have someone doing that so often. It's just going to stress me out. I especially don't want any kind of medical students doing that. Intermittent or wireless monitoring, so monitoring different vitals. I'd like to be able to move freely within the birth environment. So I want to be able to switch up different birth positions. I don't want to just give birth on my back because a long time ago, some king deemed it the best way to birth, aka for him to watch birth. If you don't know why that laying on your back birthing position was started, you need to look up the history of that. It's really creepy. That is an unnecessary caveat, but go read it. It's really freaky. I may wish to labor in a tub or shower. So there is possibly the chance for me to be able to labor in a tub, and that would be amazing at the hospital. Again, manifesting a room with that. Please do not ask if I want pain medication. So a lot of times you're just getting constantly asked questions, and it's like, instead, I would rather want to be the one to ask. So putting in my birth plan, don't ask me. I'll ask for it when I'm ready. Push in position of choice. So that's a big one. Sometimes they'll try and force you into different positions. And so I want to be able to choose what position I'm in, again, unless medically necessary to not be in a certain position. Warm compress and oil applied to perineum during pushing. This is like really specific, but these are good ones. Do not rub dry baby. Allow the vernix. So again, my doula talked about this on the podcast episode where we talked about birth, but the vernix is that like white, she calls it like cheese, but like lotiony type feel on a baby when they're born. And so that's really important for them to keep that on. And so instead of rubbing it dry, letting it rub in on its own and keeping it on and immediately doing skin to skin as soon as the baby's born. If they can't reach up to my chest with the cord, at least on my belly. And delayed cord clamping. This is a big one. Delayed cord clamping until the cord stops pulsing, at least 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes hospitals will say that they are going to delay the cord clamping and they only delay it for 60 seconds. That's why in our birth wishes, we said until the cord stops pulsing. So basically once the cord goes white and the blood has returned back to the baby, that is when Tom can cut the cord. No retracting of cord to deliver the placenta. Basically, I don't want them to pull the placenta out of me. If you don't know, Your placenta is attached to that umbilical cord, and you literally give birth to it after you've given birth to the baby. Things I didn't know until I was pregnant. And sometimes they will force that because it can take a little bit of time. And I don't want to force that delivery. I just want it to come naturally, unless medically, like there's some situation that it needs to be delivered faster. Delay all non-urgent routines until breastfeeding has been established. So basically that golden hour of right after the baby is born, I don't want anything done to me or the baby. They can wait to weigh the baby. They can wait to do all those things. I just want that time to connect with my baby. And that's really important for, we are trying to breastfeed if possible. And I want anything that they need done for the newborn to be completed while the baby is just on my chest, which I'm so excited for. I'm keeping my placenta. If you don't know why, look into placenta encapsulation and listen to the doula episode. Don't get freaked out. Don't bash it till you try it. I'll keep you updated on how that goes. For the baby, we're doing immediate skin to skin. Again, all the newborn procedures are going to be on my chest. And the goal is to keep the baby in the room or with me, myself, or my doula at all times. So never having the baby outside of the room. And if they are going outside the room, my husband will be with that baby. He'll bring his medical card or whatever. I'll get him in there. We have in case of a C-section, just different things with that. I won't share that now, but basically just having a plan to where if, we're trying to do this unmedicated birth, but if for some reason we do need to do a C-section, we have a game plan for who can be in the room, what are the plans, what are we doing to help support me and still give me as much contact with the baby as possible. So that is the gist of the birth plan. I love that my doula calls it birth wishes because again, she understands that it's not really a plan because things can go differently, but it's just with the wishes that we would like to include. That's really what we want. And of course, I thank them for being a part of this memorable birth for our family. So that's it. End of that. Next question I got was, how do you plan to involve your husband during labor and in the postpartum period? Okay, well, before I go into the postpartum period, having your husband or birth partner before the labor period, just like the preparation for pregnancy and going through this pregnancy journey so far. So I haven't even got to the labor part, but so far having my husband's support has been everything to me. Shout out to all the single moms because this shit's hard. Having some sort of support is just key. And my husband has been that key for me. And a big part of it has been him taking on some of the load that I couldn't take on. I was able to close my mastermind and my group coaching for the past 6 months. I closed it and I couldn't have done that without him being open to it for his job. And that's been something that's really allowed me to have a smaller amount of clients and focus on this birth and focus on prepping for birth mentally and physically. Huge. Other parts of it have been able to have these conversations. We've been able to really communicate about a lot of different things when it comes to birth, raising a kid, setting boundaries, starting a family. This is our family that we're starting. And so that's our number one priority. Having him in my corner has been everything. Him going to appointments has been nice. I told him at this point, we're not doing any more ultrasounds. I'm like, you don't need to come to any more appointments. But he's been so excited and how he can support me. He's been super supportive of my ups and downs mentally. Y'all, I literally get the craziest pregnancy rage. The symptoms are just wild. And so him being understanding and supportive, at the end of the day, I always come back and I'm so apologetic about it. But it's just really nice to have someone who can hold space for me in ways that I didn't even know I needed. I don't know what this experience is going to be like, but I know that I'll be okay because I have him. And that is a really, really cool feeling. How do I plan to involve him during labor and postpartum? He joked about this. He was like, should I be offended that you hired a doula? I'm not going to be good enough to support you and coach you through labor. I was like, no. And again, he was laughing at this, but I was like, no, not at all. It's just neither of us have given birth. As far as his job as a, doctor PA, he has seen births and stuff, but he hasn't experienced it with his wife. And so I wanted someone who understood what they were doing. And so when I talked to my doula, when I was interviewing different ones, what really helped me with her was her support of wanting my husband to be as much a part of this as anything and not just being like, okay, we're just going to let him sit out on this one. It's making him feel a part of the process. And he has felt like so much of this process. It has been hard because he can't relate to everything that I'm going through physically, mentally, and emotionally. But he's allowed me to communicate that, and that's been really good for us. And even with labor prep, like I said, him reading the books and like helping out with different things around the house, that's been really, really nice. We hired a doula, but we also did a birth prep class, and having him go to that was really, really fun. So that was a way to involve him during labor. I haven't really told him like, this is what I want you to do. I'm just telling him what our plans are, what ideally would happen. And he's finding ways to support me through contractions, to support me through the experience of birth, to keep and create a calm space, to be my advocate in the hospital, to be able to help me through the experience of labor. And when it comes to postpartum, God, I am so thankful. Like God's timing with this is wild, because if we had gotten pregnant anytime before his job, he would have been in school full time. We would have had no health insurance. It would have just been crazy. But I'm so grateful that literally his job just started paternity leave like a year ago, y'all. Like 1 year ago, he would not been able to take any time off besides like PTO, but they give him 4 weeks of paternity leave. And again, not everyone gets that. And so I'm very, very, very grateful for the privilege of having that support postpartum. Would I want him there even longer? Hell yeah. I think you should be able to be there longer. Don't get me started on healthcare in America, but it's okay. We won't get on that high horse right now. Instead, I'm just going to focus on the gratitude that I have for his ability to be able to support me postpartum. That was a conversation we had to have. So I'm going to be really honest with y'all. Like, my husband is supportive and grounding and he's like, we're going to figure it out. But I was being inundated with education on like postpartum and labor, and my TikTok feed had been like beautifully filled up with just different ways to prep for birth, but also to prepare for postpartum life and what that's going to look like. But I told him, I was like, I feel like I'm getting all this new information and I don't want to give birth and come home and then be like, okay, we're going to quote unquote figure it out. But does that mean that I'm teaching you how to do these things? I don't want to be your teacher. I want to be your partner. And so we had this conversation and he definitely understood, at first, like we're both new to this, but being able to have that conversation was really valuable for us. And we literally did like baby boot camp where we sat down and went over some of the different videos that you can do a birth prep class with your partner as well. I think that's huge, but I didn't feel like leaving the house. So instead we were going through these different things. And it was just so helpful for him to see like, hey, these are the things that I've been learning about that are very, very new to me, but I want you to understand and know as well. It just felt good to have him on my team. So that's a way that I've been involving him in postpartum, doing a baby checklist for postnatal prep for baby. So having him involved in the checklist of like, it's a lot of things to prepare for. And you're always going to feel like you don't have everything figured out or prepared, like everything ready. And so he's been helping me prioritize like what really needs to be done and what can wait. And the things that we're prioritizing, he's helping to make sure that he's doing. And that's just been really good. So being able to do that has been awesome. Another way we've kind of worked together as a team is, thank God, his work actually has to be certified in CPR and first aid. And he got to do it for infants as well. I recently was certified in CPR, first aid, and life-saving skills for infants and newborns. And my mom is actually getting it as well because she'll be staying with us for a small period. I asked her, I was like, hey, are you open to this? And it's just like, it's one of those things where I felt so weird asking, but then I'm like, why do I feel weird about that? My mom was so happy to do it. And she's just so excited to be a part of the process that she's very open to it. So when you are trying to communicate your boundaries with family and things that your desires are, again, it's your family you're creating. This is your family with your partner. So don't feel guilty about the boundaries or the things that you need to set. A way that I'm getting support from my husband during postpartum is he is the communicator. I am not going to have my phone around. I'm not going to have my phone while I'm in labor. I'm not going to be telling people when we're in labor. Like that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to be focused on our baby and bringing them safely into this world. And so he is going to be the one communicating what's going on, but also in a way to where he's still being present with me. I got really good advice from moms about just talking about boundaries for family visits prior to them being here. Anything that you're wanting, like when it comes to photos of your baby or things being shared or not shared online about your baby, that's your right as a parent. And so communicating that, but I'm able to delegate that to my husband, and that's just feels really good. feels good to have someone else do that because I feel like I'm dealing with my own boundaries personally, so I don't need to worry about it with other people. My husband will do it. So yeah, that's how he's helping. And there's other ways that I'm sure he's going to be helping too, but I haven't given birth yet, so I'll let you know how it goes from there. Next question, in terms of postpartum preparation, that's a lot of P's. In terms of postpartum preparation, what steps are you taking as you transition into the start of being a mom? So this could go anyways. I'll talk about like the healing journey that I'm taking personally just for my body. And then I can talk about things I'm doing to prepare for motherhood. If you're talking about like work-life balance, we got another question about that, so I can get into that as well. For postpartum prep, when it comes to healing, like I want to make sure that I have that stuff ready. So from a healing my body situation, having a bathroom station set up for recovery. So a peri bottle in every bathroom. If y'all don't know what that is, look it up. Peri bottle in order to help with going to the bathroom, prepping something called padsicles with Tommy this weekend. So they're basically taking these like overnight, these pads with wings and adding aloe vera gel, witch hazel, and a dermaplast thing and putting it in the freezer so that when you put it in your fun diaper that you get to wear postpartum, it also helps with cooling and healing and just comfort when you are working through that. Another thing that I've been looking into is different traditional Chinese medicine practices when it comes to postpartum. Y'all, TCM healing, traditional Chinese medicine is so, it's been here for centuries. Looking at that, looking at Ayurveda practices, why not try and incorporate them if you can? And so no shame with whether you do or don't, but I will be doing a lot of those different things. So I've looked into a lot of the TCM healing protocols, and one of the biggest ones is V-steaming or vaginal steaming. Don't freak out. But steaming starting 4 days postpartum. So waiting until 4 days postpartum, you're basically taking herbs and heat, like steam, warm water that you're creating, and you're doing 30 days straight of vaginal steaming. And that helps the healing of your vaginal. If you give a vaginal birth, this is something that look into. I am very much looking forward to it. I already bought the herbs. I already got everything ready. TBD. I'll let you know how it goes. Other things I'm doing, postpartum preparation. I am encapsulating my placenta, ideally to help me not have a crazy hormone drop, to really help with my mental health. I'll keep you updated on how I'm doing with, PPA or PPD, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, getting the support I need ahead of time, having a game plan for who can help as I'm healing, who can continue to help with the baby as well. My husband, my mom, people that I want to surround myself with. That's really the game plan from there. I'm just taking it a day at a time. So I'll let you know with that one. That one's a open-ended answer to that question. Next question. What advice have you received from experienced moms that you found especially valuable or surprising? I read at the end of my episode where I did the pregnancy announcement, I read some of the advice that my moms gave me. Some of my closest friends that are moms, the advice they gave me, and I enjoyed it. It was nice to read that. So if you want to go listen to that, it's at the end of the episode. Some ones that are sticking out now, mom's telling me to trust my gut and my intuition, like that gets even stronger with pregnancy. And that is for sure, that is very true. Listen to moms who you respect and trust. At the end of the day, though, mama knows best. You know what's best for your baby. And I really love that. I love the idea of listening to moms that you respect and trust and that you look up to, because there's so many different opinions out there. I literally am researching one thing about one thing and then I'm getting told the opposite about the other. And as a woman, you already always feel wrong. And now as a mom, there's like mom guilt and yeah. So trying to shake off any kind of guilt and really just come back into myself of like, what are our values as parents? What do we want to bring to this child's life? Another piece of advice was everything is temporary, and that can be good and bad. Basically, if you're in the thick of it and you're really struggling when it comes to you're feeling nauseous or you're feeling overwhelmed or touched out, that can be temporary, but then also finding joy in the present moments when you can, because this stage is temporary. The newborn stage is temporary. So the hard parts of it are temporary, but also the beautiful parts of it are temporary. So trying to hold space for both. And hold space for your emotions in both. Setting boundaries before the baby gets here was something I had a lot of mamas tell me. I had some moms tell me like they wish they had spoken up for themselves a little bit more when it came to boundaries of visitors, because they were feeling like so overwhelmed and tired. And they had visitors come and just stay and eat their food and hold the baby and leave. And that to me sounds like a nightmare. If you're going to be there for someone, be there for the mom. She has just gone through so much. So if there's anything you can do for them, I have a lot of great friends who are just so good at that in general. And so I'm not as worried about that, but setting boundaries beforehand is huge. Asking for help was one that a lot of moms said when it came to advice, is asking for help, not being afraid to ask for help. Something my doula suggested, which I thought was kind of interesting, was to make a list of things that people can do for you around the house. So if you do have visitors, what are things they could do to help out? And having it literally like on the fridge. And she was like, don't even mark it off when they do it. Just keep it, because if someone vacuums the house twice or does the dishes twice or does the laundry twice, like that's not a big deal. But that way, when people ask you what they can help with, you can be like, well, actually, we have a list on the fridge, just because we do get people asking that a lot. And so if they really want to help, don't ask if they don't actually want to help, but it gives them an idea of something they can really help with, instead of them, doing nothing or being unhelpful with something that they do. Like maybe they decide to do some things like, let me hold your baby for you, when really like you don't want someone to hold your baby. Maybe you want them to let you hold the baby while you can just have them do the laundry or something. So I thought that was really good advice. So I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to think about it and put a list together. I have asked for help more so than I ever have, ever. I'm hyper independent. I don't do well asking for help. And it's been a lesson through this experience so far with pregnancy. It's been really nice. I had one of my best friends come over to our new place, and I am not a type A organized person. Y'all know I keep the cabinet doors open. I don't see things when they're like scattered about the house. And so I was getting that decision fatigue when it came to where to organize stuff for the baby. And my friend spent all week taking care of her 2 boys. Her husband was literally out of town that whole time. And then she still came on a Saturday and spent the day with me and helped me organize not just the baby's room, because we just moved here, like organized our pantry, our room, our space, create a system, do laundry. We were just doing it all. And I could cry just thinking about it. That type of love is something that really resonates with me, and it meant so much. And it just took this weight off my shoulders. The same thing happened with the baby shower. I wasn't going to do a baby shower. I just, again, don't like being the center of attention all the time. Don't like opening gifts in front of people. And I thought that I had to do it for other people. Like I had to host some shower. And instead my friends were like, no, we can do whatever it is that you want. And my sisters and friends basically all got together and helped set up a really, really beautiful baby shower. I posted about it on TikTok, where it was at my family farm where my brother and his partner have built a really cool house. And it just felt so full of love, and it didn't have to be done in a way that everyone else does a baby shower. And that felt really good. So I don't know where I got off with that tangent, but basically, yeah, asking for help and embracing that has been new for me, and I'm leaning into it. All right, we're almost done here. How do you think you will balance your career/personal goals with the demands of motherhood? And how do you plan to create work-life balance? So those are 2 questions I got that kind of are similar question. So asking about my career and future goals and how I'm trying to balance that with work-life balance of motherhood. Y'all, I mean, it's an interesting question, but it's like you don't know till you know. So I've talked to a lot of moms who own their own businesses, who are badass moms, who are raising their kids and they work from home, or they're raising their kids and they're growing their own business, they're entrepreneurs. And that has probably been the most beneficial thing for me to do, is talk to them and see how they're doing it. But then also being open to like, it can look differently in different seasons for me. My clients, as far as what I'm doing immediately postpartum, I had some advice one of my moms gave me was like, when you work for yourself, it's hard because you don't take maternity leave in the same way as you do at a job. Because at a job, if you get maternity leave, like peace out, you're done. You put in your time, you put in your maternity leave, and they usually have someone taking over some of your duties. But that's not necessarily the case with your business. So you could work while you are just having a baby. You could do all that. But I really want to soak up the newborn phase as much as I can. And one of the advice that one of my moms gave that does have her own business, has multiple businesses and multiple kids, she said with one of her kids, she jumped back in too early. She was so focused on not losing her career and not wanting to feel like she was letting that get ahead of her, to where she jumped back in too quickly. She didn't give herself enough time to just be with the baby in that moment. And so her advice was take that time, set up time to take maternity leave. And that's actually what I'm doing with the podcast, is we are going to be taking a little bit of a break in January, where we'll be highlighting old episodes, but I won't be recording anything new. And we'll be doing a nice, fun launch, just like we did last year, We're going to be relaunching the podcast in February. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on the Instagram because I'm listening to that advice. I'm going to take some time to be able to be with my husband on his paternity leave with our baby while I'm on my maternity leave, and my clients have been super supportive. I'm able to take time with them, but take time off. We've already talked about that and they've all been super supportive. And so I'm really excited about this next chapter. But then also I have created some goals going into the new year. They're outside of just my plans on growing this family and helping to take care of and raise this baby. And that has felt good too. So how do I plan to find work-life balance? I'd help my clients every day with that. And it just depends on the season. It depends on the person, depends on the kid and what phase of life you're in. And so really just auditing, like I've been doing with my clients, is doing these audits in your life of like, okay, well, what is it that you're valuing? And my values are probably going to shift a little bit, but that doesn't mean that I'm giving up everything in order to be a mom and that I have to let go of any of my personal goals as well. I don't plan on that. I actually plan on being even more motivated because I want to be that example for my kid. I want them to see me on stage. I want them to see me showing up and growing my business and making an impact in this world. And I want them to see what all is possible in this life if you go all in, if you show up for yourself, if you prioritize what your dream life will be. And I want to take them along for the ride. I'm very much looking forward to that. I will talk more about that when we come back after the break. So make sure you are subscribed and stay tuned to that. Another question, we're almost done, that I got was, what's been the most surprising thing you've experienced so far with pregnancy? And the kind of additional question that was similar. So most surprising thing you've experienced, and then are there any specific challenges or unexpected experiences you've encountered during your pregnancy and how are you navigating through them? Okay. Everything has been surprising. Everything has been mind-blowing. It's just like, you can learn about it, you can hear about it from other people, but until you experience it, it just doesn't feel real. It's such a surreal experience. When the baby first kicked for the first time, that was a really wild experience. Seeing the baby moving on the ultrasound, that was really, really wild. My experience with my intuition, and it's been a lot easier for me to stay strong on my boundaries and with what my non-negotiables are when it comes to what's best for me. And that's been new for me. I have not been as worried about what other people think. And that's been huge as far as experiences. My body, like, I didn't realize in the beginning of my body changing, I didn't realize it was going to bring up stuff from the past when it came to my body image stuff. But then being able to work through that again at a new level, it's been great. I feel like it's helped me even more because it's made me feel stronger and more empowered than I even was previously. And so that's been a really cool experience. Challenges, I think the challenges that have been huge right now in this phase, being in the third trimester, it's been challenging to just kind of let go. And what I mean by that is this baby could come at any time. And so if you are someone who is type A, I'm not even type A, and it is a little stressful for me to just think like, hey, this could happen at any time. But I think it's such a good lesson for life with like, only God knows what these plans are for us. Like the universe has it figured out. We don't. And so if we're constantly trying to combat life with structure and trying to have everything figured out and trying to have every step of your plan laid out before you move, you will be paralyzed your whole life. You're going to not want to take any steps. You're not want to make any moves. And so I've been able to learn from this experience, be like, hey, we're just going to do what we can today. And if I'm going into labor, I'm going into labor and we're just going to roll with it. But I can't pause my life at the same time. So finding that balance of still doing stuff while also being like, hey, a baby could come anytime now. It's a weird and wild experience. Yeah, there's definitely more. I could probably do a whole podcast on that, but it's been interesting. I did a TikTok episode on like the craziest symptoms with pregnancy, so that one was a fun one. But speaking of fun, let's get into some of these last questions. I saved some of the fun ones for last. This one is, if you could choose a theme song for your pregnancy journey, what would it be and why? I think if Tom was joking when we were talking about my labor playlist, he was singing Push It by Salt and Pepper. So that would be a funny theme song. But really, when I like think about memories of pregnancy, the song Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Miss Lauryn Hill, that version of the Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, I think about that because the first time I was thinking about a song that I wanted to associate with like connecting with my baby, I was going through different songs and this one came on and I started singing it and I got emotional as the words came through and I just felt really connected to my baby. And that wasn't something that I didn't think I was going to experience that before the baby got here, some sort of connection to this baby, but it's there. It's real. So that one's probably the top of my list. And our wedding song, Let's Stay Together, I used that for our pregnancy announcement. That one, I think about like how me and Tom, that was like our first dance, our wedding song for our first dance. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to dance. I mean, we've danced to that while I'm pregnant. So I'm excited to like dance with our baby in our arms with that song. So if I think about romanticizing my life, that's like an image that I'm picturing right now. Okay. Have you had any interesting or weird pregnancy cravings? Okay. Let me go through them real quick. I have craved pickles. I have definitely craved Jimmy John's, spicy food, but that's like normal for me. So people are always weirded out that I'm like obsessed with spicy food. I always have been a spicy food person. I'm a hot sauce person. I keep 5 different types of hot sauce in my cabinet at all times. Now it's just like if I don't have it, I get sad and upset. Like if I'm in a restaurant and they don't have the hot sauce that I want, then I get upset, like way more so than I would, like emotionally upset. So yeah, I keep hot sauce in my bag swag for sure. Thank you, Beyonce. That is also me. Cottage cheese and pineapple with honey is another big one. I used to hate the texture of cottage cheese. It grossed me out. Now I literally crave it. Yeah, it's so good. I also cried over chicken and dumplings one night. This was earlier on in my pregnancy, but basically I sobbed because I called Tom telling him that I wanted chicken and dumplings and we were looking at places and everywhere was closed at that point anyways. Like there are so few places that serve it anyways, but everywhere was closed. He went to like 2 different grocery stores and then I went to 2 different grocery stores and they didn't have it. And I cried. I was so sad. But luckily at our new space where we're living now, there is a place down the road that serves it. So if I want it, we can get it. Okay. If you could create a mom superpower, what would it be? Mom superpower. This is a fun question. I guess like just the immediate thing I can think of being a new mom would be baby mind reading. Baby mind reading would be amazing. Also, I would love to be able to read Kima, my dog's mind. If I could, as a dog mom, read my baby girl Kima's mind as well as this new baby's mind, that would be amazing. I just hate not knowing what they need. Or if they can't communicate, like, why are you crying? Tell me why you're crying. Like, I just want to know. If I could just read your mind, that would be awesome. So I think that would probably be the one. I don't know. If you guys have any other good ideas for mom superpowers, let me know. I think being a mom is a superpower in itself. As corny as it sounds, I really do believe that. If you could give your future self a message to listen to during those challenging parenting moments, what would it be? Okay, I'm going to try and say it to my future self. All right, girl, I know this time is really hard and you are feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling like this is so challenging, but God will always equip you with what you need in that moment. And they will never give you more than you can handle. That doesn't mean you have to be prideful and try to do it all on your own. It's okay to ask for help and communicate what you need. Boom. You got this. Okay. What are you most excited? I got the question about like most nervous and most excited about having a baby. Let's talk about most excited. Honestly, I want to end it with this. I'm going to get emotional. I am so excited to watch my husband be a dad. I am so excited to watch Tom be a dad. Seeing him with my nephews these past few years, I mean, it's just been so reassuring to me that like he is going to be an amazing dad. He is hands-on, he's present, he's just so sweet already with them. And so being able to see him become a dad, like I am going to sob. Being able to create moments in my baby's childhood and memories with each other, I'm so looking forward to that. And creating our own family traditions, just all the different firsts, I'm really excited for those. Our baby getting to grow up, getting to see our baby grow up with a mom and a dad who are not only crazy about them, but crazy about each other. I'm so excited for that. I've never had that, seen that. And so to be able to see so much love, I just cannot wait. I cannot wait. I just feel really, really lucky that I get to do this with my best friend. It sounds really corny. I'm getting really honest with you guys, but I don't know if I could do this without him. I don't even have to think about that because I don't have to. He's there and I'm just so grateful. And so I think that's what I'm most excited about. Like, yes, I'm excited to be a mom, but I think seeing him be a dad trumps all of that. I can't wait, y'all. I cannot wait. Stay tuned on that. I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I've been, as you can tell, I'm up and down hormonally. I'm all over the place, but I think it's more good, happy tears than sad tears, to be honest. At this point, we are just doing what we can to create a safe, peaceful, wonderful space for our baby. During the month of December, as we're coming towards the end of it, I am going to be doing a daily grounded in gratitude practice that I'll be sharing. So every single day, I'll be doing something to just ground myself and get more connected with myself, as well as find gratitude. I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed during the holiday season with things that aren't going right or perfectly. There's also a lot of shit going on in the world right now. It can feel really, really heavy. And so it doesn't mean you need to turn a blind eye to everything that's going on in the world, but taking time to feel grateful in your present moment every single day makes a huge, huge difference in our lives. I've seen it work in my life in beautiful ways. I've seen it work in my clients' lives, and it's why I preach appreciation and gratitude being a daily practice. When you're in that space, in that mindset, that state of gratitude, your brain is not able to be in any other space of like overwhelm or anxiety or frustration or anger. Like, you truly feel that gratitude throughout your entire body. It changes you. So I'm going to be doing a daily practice. I'll be sharing it, and I want you to come along for the ride. Another thing I'll be sharing daily, if you listen to this whole episode, this is definitely what you want to be doing as well. So I'm going to be starting a mini series through the month of December to Christmas, where I will be sharing every single day something I'm doing to prepare for motherhood, whether it's mind, body, or soul. So all these things that I have been sharing that maybe it was like a little overwhelming of a list that you just heard on the podcast, this is going to be a really nice way to challenge yourself. So if you're trying to mentally prepare for having a baby, or if you're currently pregnant, or if you're just a mom who's trying to reconnect with yourself and your body, you are going to love this series. So definitely check it out. Follow me. I'll be posting most of the videos on TikTok. So if you're not on TikTok, follow me on TikTok, J.Go. And same on Instagram if you want to follow me there. If you have not left a review for the podcast yet, a little Christmas gift you could do for me is to leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are on the podcast. Leave that 5-star review. That just helps us to continue to get more reach and have this message reach more people. And that's really my mission, is to make an impact. And it starts with just one person hitting share. So thank you for sharing this episode with someone. Thank you for listening. And I will see you guys in the next one.